This video is now in session, and 2 days ago, Biden announced his American Jobs Plan, which is a plan that costs more than $2 trillion, meant to help our nation's infrastructure as well as creating millions of jobs. So in this video, we're going to go into what this this plan is. We're going to say how this bill might be supported and rejected in Congress. We're going to give our thoughts, and then we'll probably talk about how Biden should publicize this kind of plan. So inside this plan, there are it's a lot of money, and a lot of it goes to transportation, obviously. But within transportation, the vast majority of the money goes to electric vehicle incentives. So what that means is that you get like those credits that you used to get from those federal e-credits, as well as other incentives to get electric vehicles. So that includes better charging stations, and as well as better battery technology for the electric vehicles to go at a farther range. For the roads and bridges, this is namesake, it's very obvious, but here this is the amount that's going into our actual transportation systems, including improvements of road safety, and then $20 billion to underserved communities. In buildings, what this is trying to do is it's trying to remediate a lot of the past mistakes of government and the inequalities that a lot of people get in infrastructure. And infrastructure it's much more than about roads, bridges, railway networks. Infrastructure is about literally infrastructure. So that means like the internet, that means buildings, energy, anything that relates to construction usually goes under infrastructure. So here, the vast majority goes into affordable housing. So this will benefit mainly minorities living in urban cores, as well as those with lower incomes. For high-speed broadband, this is something that has been neglected for a long while, and this is meant to help the rural community, since there's a lot of places in rural America who do not have broadband. And that's unfortunate because broadband is necessary for education, it's necessary for healthcare, as well as other parts of your lives, like your personal well-being and as well as your workplace. Without high-speed broadband that in your city or in your place, then it gets a lot harder to live in this kind of modern-day society. What's particularly interesting is that $45 billion is going to go to the elimination of lead pipes. And this is also another not so well known problem, or not so well publicized problem, in that there are a lot of places that have corrosive lead pipes that cause too much lead levels for many people across the United States, particularly in poorer communities, the more disenfranchised communities. And as a result, those can cause complications to one's health and as well as their offspring. So that is what the buildings and utilities are going to be done. You can also read this article at the New York Times. There's other articles that explain what is inside the package. Here in jobs, this is one of the most major parts of this plan. And what its goal is to create millions of jobs. Here it goes into domestic manufacturing, science, supply chain, semiconductors, workforce, clean energy manufacturing, and many of these are emerging industries. Clean energy, emerging industry. Semiconductors, it's not quite an emergent industry anymore, but it is a very profitable industry. So it's something that Biden is definitely trying to take on, because if America is the leader in clean energy, and if America is the leader in technology, then it positions America to be to be the best and the most powerful country in the world. Here, this is something that is actually the most surprising part of this plan. It includes $400 billion to expand access to caregiving. So it's mainly those who are part of the elderly or those who have disabilities. So what it does is improve the benefits and the salaries of employees who take care of these individuals, and it improves the individuals themselves. So yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot on the table. So how this is being paid is tax increase on corporations. So currently it's 21%. Biden, over the next decade and a half, wants to increase that to 28% for corporations. So that's the major part of this bill that will most likely that will most likely get debated. This plan has not been made into a bill yet, but it will soon. Nancy Pelosi says that she wants to put the bill on the floor by July 4th. That's a pretty aggressive timeline. It's even though 3 months sounds like a lot, it's 3 months is not a lot in legislative making, especially for a bill like this, which is a plan like this, which is $2 trillion. This isn't even Biden's entire infrastructure plan. He has another plan coming soon called the American Families Plan. This is called the American Jobs Plan, and total those two plans combined will amount to more than $3 trillion. So it's a lot of money. I keep saying that, but it is a lot. And the reason why I keep saying that it's a lot is because that's the part that Republicans will not like about. They will not like the 21 to 28% increase in corporations, and they also don't want an infrastructure plan that's this large. So so for a bill like this, there needs to be bipartisanship for the Democrats, because this does not fall under reconciliation in any sort of way. So there would need to be 10 Republican senators to get on board this kind of plan, and currently I doubt that there's even one Republican senator. The reason why is because, again, the tax increase on corporations goes directly. It challenges the fundamentals of the Republican Party, which is that allowing the private sector to thrive through tax decreases, tax cuts, will allow the private sector to invest back into the industries. Meanwhile, the Democrats' approach that they're taking with this kind of plan is that they want they are betting that the government is capable of helping industries in a better way than large corporations like the technology companies that we've seen, and as well as other corporations. So those are the two kinds of approaches, and they directly contradict each other. So it's going to be hard for Biden to get this bill passed. That said, I believe that this will be popular among most Americans. Especially with the rural broadband, as it helps connect every single American, both literally and I would say that both in a literal way and not in a literal way, in that rural Americans are also included in this plan, but they're also connected with urban Americans through rural broadband. Now, is the reason why you should, I'll say this, the reason why you should support this bill, or this plan, I guess, is because it's way overdue. We've, for the past several decades, have put infrastructure bills on the table. That said, all of them have not been enough, and all of them have not tackled the right things. This bill has been the closest to tackling the right things than all the other previous bills combined for the past several decades. So that's one reason why you should support this bill. The second reason is that it helps every single American, including the rural broadband, but also energy and infrastructure. The third thing is it helps our jobs, and it gets us the right kinds of jobs. There are people who say that we need manufacturing jobs from China to come back to the U.S., but that isn't necessarily the right kind of motive to have, especially for low cost manufacturing and manufacturing of low cost items. Because America, most likely, I don't think most Americans would want to be the leader of manufacturing pencils and clothing items, at least like the more bulk clothing items. We want to be the manufacturers of technology, of laptops, of computers, of cars, those kinds of products. So the Biden is trying to bring those jobs back to the US, but what he's also doing is increasing the entrepreneurship opportunities through this kind of bill. And that is politically, that is savvy for Biden because the more entrepreneurial companies that there are, the more companies that are founded by entrepreneurs, then the better it is usually for the economy, and it helps increase. It increases jobs, it increases the economy, and it reduces reliance on big companies like Google and Facebook. So those are the reasons to support this bill. In terms of rejecting this bill, I already stated it. It's the corporate tax rate going too high, and as well as too much spending on too many things. So those are the reasons to be for and against this bill. That said, ultimately, again, I think this will be popular with the majority of Americans, and Biden needs to own that, because in politics, being humble most of the times will not work. You have to vocalize what you are doing in order to get support, and in order to know that you are the one taking credit for it, and that the credit goes where it deserves. So that's what Biden is doing by traveling to Pittsburgh, by going to different places and campaigning for this kind of package. He's essentially trying to say that I did this kind of plan, and the Republicans right now are opposed to this plan. You enjoy this plan, so as a result, vote for me in 2024, and as well as Democrats in 2022. Now, if we do have criticisms about this bill, we do have criticisms, just saying. We think that this does not go far enough with rectifying the systemic problems that come from infrastructure, that came from infrastructure since the Dwight D. Eisenhower era. And a lot of it is about redlining, and as well as about segregation through housing and segregation through highways. Because if you've read our article on partisansatire.com, we published an article detailing about what we think should be in an infrastructure package, and one of them we thought should have been to help the black communities in urban cities, because many of the times in the Dwight D. Eisenhower era, the highways were built in a way that constricts black movement and constricts the welfare of black Americans, where highways directly cut off black Americans from wealthy neighborhoods, where it makes them harder to move for mobility. So as a result, this kind of bill needs more ways to help the black community who's been suffering under all the highways and the roads that were constructed since the Federal Highways, I believe the Federal Highways Act. That said, those are the reasons why you might want to support this plan, and the reasons why you might want to reject this plan. So I'm just wondering, what are your thoughts about this plan? If you have an opinion about this plan, please comment below. I'd love to hear your opinions, because obviously listening to each other's opinions, especially if there's a difference in opinions, is beneficial to figuring out each other's side. So that's the end of this video. This video is now adjourned. I'll see you in the next one.